What I did when my boyfriend of 5 months spent the night at his ex's house. I never thought I would see the day my boyfriend of 5 months would spend the night at his ex's house. Not in a fight, not because of work, not because he was stuck somewhere. He actually went there willingly. And I found out in the worst way possible. I was sitting at home, scrolling through my phone, when I noticed his location ping on a shared app. My stomach dropped. He was at her place. I stared at the screen, frozen, heart racing, not believing what I was seeing. 5 months. 5 months of trust, of late-night calls, of I love yous, and this. I felt like the floor had vanished under my feet. At first I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe he was just dropping something off. Maybe he was visiting her as a friend. But as the minutes ticked by, I realized he had not moved. He was there all night. My hands shook as I typed a message. "Are you at her place?" There was no reply. My mind raced. Why wasn't he answering? And then I remembered the small things I had brushed off before. How he would sometimes disappear late at night. How he seemed secretive about his phone. I felt my chest tighten. I started pacing around my small apartment, trying to calm down. I couldn't stop thinking about them together in her living room, maybe laughing, maybe touching, maybe worse. I wanted to call him, to demand answers, but I didn't. I wanted to cry, but the tears wouldn't come. I felt numb. The whole night stretched before me like a bad dream. I kept checking his location, hoping it would move, hoping he would be somewhere else, hoping this was all some kind of mistake, but it wasn't. Earlier that day, everything had seemed normal. We had breakfast together, laughed over stupid jokes, and even made plans for the weekend. He had seemed affectionate, sweet, attentive. I thought I was happy. I thought he was happy. We had even talked about future trips, about meeting each other's families. And now this. Now I was left wondering if any of it had ever been real. I tried to think about what I could do. Should I call her? Should I wait for him to come home? Should I confront him in person? The more I thought, the more my head hurt. I remembered all the little things I had ignored. How he used to keep his phone face down. How he would sometimes disappear for hours without explanation. Maybe this was why my gut had always felt uneasy. By midnight, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my coat and my keys, intending to drive over there. I told myself I just wanted answers. I told myself I needed to see for myself. But when I got to the street, my car slowed to a crawl. The lights of her apartment glowed warmly in the dark, and I saw him through the window, sitting close on her couch, laughing, smiling. And when he looked at her, my stomach twisted into knots. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles were white. I parked a few houses down, heart racing. I didn't know if I should go up or leave. I wanted to scream, to run, to vanish. And then I saw them leaning in closer, and I froze. I couldn't move. My phone buzzed. A message from him. My hands shook so bad they almost dropped it. I opened it slowly. It said, "I hope you understand." I don't even remember how I got home that night. I just remember sitting in the dark, staring at my phone, feeling like my whole world had shattered. I kept thinking about that text over and over. What did he mean? Did he know I knew? Was it too late to do anything? I felt trapped in my own mind. And just when I thought the night couldn't get worse, I heard a knock on my apartment door. My heart jumped into my throat. I didn't recognize the number. I froze. Who could it be at this hour? The knock came again, louder this time. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. I looked through the peephole, but the hallway was empty. My hands were shaking as I reached for the door handle, unsure if I should open it. What if it was him? What if it was someone else? My mind raced through every possible scenario, and none of them made me feel safe. I took a deep breath and opened the door just a crack. There was nobody there. I stepped out into the hallway and looked left and right, empty. The street outside was quiet, dark, almost too quiet. A cold chill ran down my spine. Then out of nowhere, a folded piece of paper slid under my door. My heart skipped a beat. I picked it up with trembling hands. On the front, in his handwriting, were just 3 words. "We need talk." I wanted to throw it away. I wanted to burn it. I wanted to pretend none of this was happening. But my curiosity and maybe my fear won. I opened it. The note was short, almost too calm, but the words hit me like a punch. "I didn't plan for this to happen. I need you to know everything. Please meet me tomorrow." That was it. No apology, no explanation. Just those words. Sleep was impossible that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about what I had seen at her place. His smile, her laugh, the way he leaned in closer. Every memory from our 5 months together flashed in my head, each one now tinged with doubt. Was he pretending with me all this time? Had any of it been real? My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend. "Are you okay? You seem off today." I stared at it and didn't reply. I couldn't explain this to anyone yet, not now. The next morning, I tried to act normal. I got ready for work, made coffee, even smiled at the cashier, but inside, I felt like I was falling apart. Everything felt muted, like I was watching my life through a foggy window. I kept thinking about that note. Should I go meet him? Should I ignore it? My stomach churned with anxiety. Around midday, my phone rang. It was him. I hesitated before answering. His voice was calm, maybe too calm, like nothing had happened. "Can we talk tonight?" I swallowed hard. My mind screamed no, but part of me wanted answers, wanted closure, wanted to hear from him directly. I agreed, almost without thinking. "Fine, but just talk, nothing else." Hours dragged on. I tried to focus on work, but I couldn't. Every little sound made me jump. When evening came, I found myself standing outside a small cafe we had once gone to together. I saw him sitting at a corner table, sipping coffee like it was a normal day. My hands were shaking. My throat felt tight. I walked over and he looked up at me with a faint smile. The conversation started calmly. He explained a few things, dodged others. I asked the hard questions, and he gave answers that didn't fully satisfy me. My chest ached. I wanted to scream, to cry, to demand the truth. And just when I thought maybe I could leave, maybe I could walk away without breaking completely, he leaned closer, eyes intense, and said something that made my blood run cold. He said, "There's more you don't know, and it's not what you think." I froze. My heart dropped. What could be worse than what I had already seen? I felt like my heart had stopped. "More I don't know, and it's not what I think," I whispered, my voice barely audible. His eyes were fixed on mine, serious, almost guilty. I wanted to push him, demand every detail, but something in his expression froze me. There was fear there, but also something else. He took a deep breath. "It's not just her," he said slowly. "It's complicated. She's been asking for my help, and I didn't want to tell you because I knew how it would look. But I didn't spend the night there the way you think." I blinked, trying to understand. Then why were you there all night?" I asked, my voice trembling. His gaze didn't waver. "I didn't sleep, okay? I stayed because she needed someone to be there. She had an emergency. She had no one else." Part of me wanted to believe him, to let the relief wash over me, but my gut screamed that this wasn't the whole truth. I remembered the laughter, the way he leaned in, the closeness I had seen through the window. Something about it didn't add up. "So you're saying you just watched over her all night, like a friend?" I asked, my tone sharp. "Yes, I didn't touch her. Nothing, I swear. I know how it looks, but you have to trust me." His voice sounded desperate. I wanted to. I really did. I wanted to believe him, but the doubt gnawed at me. I had given him everything. My trust, my heart, my time, and now it felt like he had thrown it all away. We sat in silence for a moment, the noise of the cafe fading into the background. I felt tears prick my eyes, but I blinked them back. I didn't want him to see me break. Not yet. I had to hold myself together, even if inside I was crumbling. Then we decided to walk a little outside, away from the crowded cafe. The night air was cool, calming, but my thoughts were stormy. I asked him more questions, trying to get every detail. He explained a few things, how she had been alone, how he had tried to calm her down, how he had left before anyone could notice him leaving. For a while it seemed like maybe I could calm down. Maybe I could convince myself it wasn't as bad as it looked. We walked slowly, talking about lighter things, like our favorite shows, the weekend plans we had made before all this happened. For a moment, I almost felt normal again. Almost. And then it happened. Out of nowhere, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and I noticed the change in his expression immediately. His smile faded, his shoulders tensed, and he started muttering under his breath. "What? How? No, that can't be." I stepped closer, my heart thudding. "What is it?" I asked, my voice shaking. He looked at me, panic in his eyes, and said something that made my stomach drop like a stone. "It's her. She's coming here. Right now." My blood ran cold. What did he mean she was coming? How did she even know where we were? The quiet night suddenly felt suffocating. My mind raced. What was she going to do? Was she angry? Was she dangerous? Was this the moment that destroyed everything? And just like that, headlights flashed across the street, and I saw a car pull up slowly, almost deliberately. My heart froze in my chest. She was here. The car stopped right in front of us. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would break through my chest. I could see her clearly now, stepping out slowly, like she owned the night. She smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was sharp, calculating, like she knew something I didn't. My stomach twisted into knots. He grabbed my hand, trying to pull me back, but I couldn't move. I couldn't take my eyes off her. "Stay calm," he whispered, his voice tight. But I could feel his panic too. It wasn't just me. She walked toward us, heels clicking against the pavement. "So," she said, voice sweet but edged with something dangerous, "we meet at last." My blood ran cold. "Who are you?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady, though it came out shaky. "Oh, I'm just someone who loves him very much," she said, her eyes locking on his. "Don't look at me like that. You've only known him for 5 months. I've known him for years." Her words were sharp, cutting. I felt like the ground had dropped beneath me. He squeezed my hand tighter. "It's not like that," he said quickly. "Please, just listen to me." But she wasn't listening. She laughed softly, almost like a warning. "Oh, I'm listening, and I know everything." I felt frozen. What did she know? What had she seen? And why did he look so scared? I had never seen him like this. The calm, confident guy I knew was gone. All I saw was fear, panic, and guilt. Then she took a step closer, and I realized she wasn't here just to talk. There was something in her hand. My heart skipped a beat. Was it a gift? Was it a phone? Or something worse? I couldn't breathe. He tried to step in front of me. "Don't," he said, his voice trembling. "Please, just back off." but she ignored him. "You think you can just hide her from me?" she said, voice rising. "She has no idea. He's mine. Always has been." I felt my hand shake. "Stop it," I said, my voice louder than I expected. "Just stop. You don't own him. You can't." Before I could finish, she smirked and pulled something out of her bag. My eyes widened. It was his phone, open to a chat I hadn't seen before. Messages flashed across the screen. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My heart sank so low I felt like I would collapse. She was showing me everything. Secrets I'd never known, lies he had told, messages that made my stomach twist. He lunged for the phone, but she stepped back, holding it just out of reach. Her eyes were wild now, almost gleeful. "This is what I've been talking about," she said, voice sharp. "You think you know him, but you have no idea." I felt like my whole world was spinning. Everything I believed, everything I trusted was crashing down around me. My chest burned. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to run. And then, in the chaos, he did something I never expected. He grabbed her hand, not aggressively, but firmly, and said something that froze me in place. Something that made my stomach twist. In fear and disbelief. He said, "I said stop." Her eyes widened. She wasn't expecting that. And in that moment, I realized this night wasn't over. Not by far. Something was about to happen that would change everything. My trust, our relationship, and maybe even my safety. The air between the three of us felt like it was about to crack. His voice was low and dangerous, a tone I had never heard from him before. "I said, stop," he repeated, his hand still on hers. She froze, staring at him like she didn't recognize him either. "What are you doing?" I whispered, my voice shaking. My heart was hammering so loud I could barely hear my own words. His eyes flicked to me, then back to her. He looked cornered, desperate, but also determined, like he was finally done hiding. "She's not leaving until she knows everything," the ex hissed, yanking her hand back. She held the phone up higher so I could see more of the messages. My stomach twisted even harder. They weren't just talking about random things. They were plans, secrets, late-night calls, things I had never been told. My breath came out shallow and quick. "Is this true?" I asked, my voice cracking. "All of it?" He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. "It's not what it looks like," he said, almost pleading. "I was trying to help her. She's in trouble. She's being blackmailed by someone dangerous. I got pulled in because I was trying to keep her safe." I stared at him, disbelief and confusion swirling inside me. "Blackmailed? What are you even talking about?" The ex laughed, but it was sharp, almost broken. "Don't you dare make me the bad guy," she spat. "You were happy to come running every time I called. Don't act like this was some big noble act." He took a step toward her. "You're not going to drag her into this," he said, glancing back at me. "She doesn't deserve to get caught up in it." My legs felt weak. My mind was spinning. Were they lying? Was he telling the truth? Were they both playing me? I didn't know. All I knew was that the man I thought I loved wasn't who I thought he was. The ex's eyes flicked between the two of us. Then, without a word, she tossed the phone at him. It hit his chest and fell to the ground, the screen cracking. "You're both pathetic," she muttered, turning to walk back to her car. But before she reached it, she stopped, turned, and said something that made my blood run cold. "Tell her what you told me last week," she said, her eyes burning into his. "Or I will." He looked at her, then at me, his face pale. "Don't," he said under his breath. She smirked. "Then tell her." I stared at him, my heart in my throat. "Tell me what?" I whispered. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He looked down, clenched his fists, then finally spoke. "I didn't want to do this like this, but..." My voice cracked. "I wasn't just at her place that night. I was meeting someone else. Someone dangerous. Someone who wants something from me. And now they know about you." The night seemed to tilt sideways. My knees almost gave out. "What do you mean they know about me?" He stepped closer, eyes wide, voice low. "It means you're not safe anymore." Before I could respond, a car door slammed somewhere down the street. Another engine roared to life. Headlights flashed. A second car had pulled up behind hers. The ex's smirk faded as she turned to look. He grabbed my hand hard. "We have to go. Now," he said. I stood there frozen as the second car door opened and a tall figure stepped out into the dark, watching us silently. We drove through the night in silence. I didn't know if I should cry, scream, or just pretend I was okay. He kept glancing at me, trying to explain, trying to reassure me, but I didn't know what to believe anymore. Everything felt fragile, like a glass about to shatter with the slightest touch. By the time we stopped somewhere safe, the adrenaline had faded, leaving only exhaustion and fear. He looked at me, eyes heavy, and softly. "I never wanted to put you in this, but I promise, I'm trying to protect you." I nodded, unsure if I trusted him completely. Part of me wanted to believe him, part of me wanted to run as far as I could. But I stayed. For now. Some things had changed that night. Trust, innocence, certainty. Nothing would ever feel the same. But one thing was clear. My life had been turned upside down in a way I could never have imagined. And as the first light of dawn broke over the city, I realized this wasn't just a story about love or betrayal. It was about survival. And deep down, I knew the real danger wasn't over.